wretched slugs. Don't any of you have the guts to fight for blood?
I'm your huckleberry.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to go ahead and start today with the tabletop portion on my review of the Keltec RDB rifle. This is going to be a 2,000 round review, as I just recently hit 2,000 rounds through this rifle. I originally purchased this from Sportsman's Guide back in 2020 for like 750 bucks. Since I purchased it, it's gone through quite a few changes. I'll roll in some footage here of what it looked like when I originally bought it. Alright, so as you can see from that photo, it's gone through quite a bit of changes since I bought it. Let's go ahead and start things out. Let's discuss why you would buy something like this to begin with. So the reason I wanted a bullpup is I like the idea of having a small package that has a full-length barrel so you don't lose anything in velocity. I also like 10.5-inch ARs just fine, but you know, when you're a collector and you've got quite a few rifles, eventually you want something that isn't an AK or an AR. That's where I found myself on this. As a left-handed shooter, I was always intrigued by the idea of bullpup rifles, but they're really not friendly to left-handed people in most cases. One of the things I noticed, I'm just going to prop this up here so that it'll sit up. One of the things I've noticed with left-handed, with bullpups in general, is that most of the time the ejection port is going to be somewhere in this area, and as a lefty, that's right where your face goes. I don't know about you guys. I don't really like getting hit in the face with brass and hot gases. So finding something that was ambidextrous was high on my priority list, because while I'm left-handed, the rest of my family isn't. My older son is left-handed, but my younger son and my wife are right-handed. So doing something like buying a left-handed Tavor didn't really strike me as feasible, because I want something that my entire family can enjoy. That's where the Keltec RDB came through and shined. Since I've bought it, like I said, I've owned it for about 4 years. I just put my 2,000th round through it. The only issue I've had with it was around the 600-700 round mark. I did have a broken firing pin. I was out there on the range one day shooting, and I just noticed I started having misfires, like light primer strikes. Got in touch with Chad Enos, who was at the time the rep for Keltec. Now I think he's with Century Arms. But kudos to him, because he took the time personally to talk to me through Facebook, talk to me through Messenger, do some video chats, help me diagnose the problem. We found out that it was the firing pin. He went ahead and sent me a new firing pin and a bunch of Keltec swag, like with zero hesitation. And he took care of that personally. So I do want to give a shout out to Chad. He's top notch. And now that he's at Century, Century has a really good employee. So thank you for that, Chad. So again, since I've owned it, some of the changes I've made, let's go ahead and call out the most obvious one you guys I'm sure are seeing, the camo pattern I put on it. I've always loved M81. It's my favorite pattern. It's the Lord's plaid, as you all know. So I got a stencil pack off Etsy. I watched the Montactical How to Do M81 video like 100 times. And then I got some Krylon camo paints and just went at it. So it's Krylon camo black, khaki or sand, I don't remember which one they call it, but they're flat dark earth color, earth brown, and olive. And then once I was done and I pulled all the stencils off, I lightly went over it with some 4/0 steel wool and then hit it with a super flat clear coat. So it gives it a uniform sheen, and it really hides all the layers. It really makes it look like it's a factory job. And most people who see this, they ask me, where did I get it done at? I did it myself. Some of the other changes I made, I put a Dan Haga magwell on it. That was a big one. I think it really improves the look of it. And I swapped out the original RDB handguard for the handguard from the RDB survival model. I just like the way it looks. It gives it that short, stout front end with a little bit of barrel sticking out, and I just think that looks better. I did add a small section of pick rail to the bottom of the RDBS handguard. That's not really an easy thing to do. It requires you to completely take this handguard apart and separate the two clamshells. And then, I don't know where this original rail came from, but it's contoured, so it fit the profile of the handguard perfectly. I drilled the holes for the screws, and then on the inside of the handguard, I actually sandwiched some M-lock nuts in there and fit them so that when I pressed it back together, I was able to actually tighten up the rail into the M-lock nuts and sandwich it all together. So it makes for a really nice, secure place to put a short vert grip, or sometimes, like if I'm doing accuracy testing, I'll take this off, throw a bipod on it, something like that. But this is how I typically run it. I like running the Lancer 20 rounders. It runs fine with 30s and every other AR mag I've tried. I just like that the 20 rounders are the same height as the pistol grip, so I like the way it looks. Call me petty or whatever, but that's what I like. The only other issue I've had with this rifle, this optics mount, the rail on the optics, every so often it would just walk loose on me. I got in touch with Chad again. We kind of talked about it, and what he told me is with the ones he shoots competitions with, he actually went in and staked the screws on his mount. So I did the same thing. I bought a transfer punch, went through, tightened everything to spec, and then I just took a transfer punch and a hammer, moved some of the metal over to the screw to stop the screws from being able to back out. And since then, I've got another 1,000 rounds since I made that modification, and the rail has not come loose again. I also put red Loctite on it because I don't plan on ever taking that rail off. So let's go ahead and go through some of the features of this rifle. Starting at the back, we have the ejection port down here. This is the biggest key for lefties. This rifle, as it shoots, the bolt travels all the way to the rear. Your spent cases come out the bottom here at a 6 o'clock ejection pattern, which is pretty dope. Moving forward, you got your magazine, your mag well. Like I said, I've got the Dan Haga mag well added. That doesn't really change the function of it, but it does look a little better. And it gives you a mag funnel, so it's a little faster for reloads. You have an ambi magazine release here, which is a little awkward initially when you're first getting used to the manual of arms here. But, I mean, you get used to it. It does work. I never activate it by accident. And, you know, once you start training, you'll learn to just run your hand back and you'll drop it. The mags do fall free. Your bolt release is out also here, and that is on both sides. So when you slam a mag home, the theory is you can hit that and it'll drop the bolt. I find it faster just to run the charging handle each time. When the bolt locks back on empty, your charging handle will also lock back, and you can slide it up into that notch, and you can HK slap it if that's what you're into. It does have ambidextrous safety, which I find easy to activate with either hand, and I do like it better. I've also got the Keltec RFB in 308. This is a definite improvement over the RFB safety, which is like a 180-degree throw, or, I mean, it's not 180, but it's close. You have to throw it from one side all the way to the other. This short throw safety, much preferred, so that's kudos to Keltec for that design. One of the other downsides to this rifle, it is very difficult to find space to mount other accessories. I'm currently in the planning stages of putting a light up here, and I'm probably going to run it in front of the red dot. The only way I can feasibly think to do it is to get something like an Enforce weapon-mounted light and then actually get a slightly higher mount for my red dot so that it'll clear that light and I won't have any issues with it blocking the sight. I'm currently running the SIG Romeo MSR red dot on here. I mean, it's a great budget optic. You can't beat it for like 80 bucks. I've got about 4 or 5 of these on different weapons. I love every one of them, but I do plan on eventually upgrading all of them to at least a Romeo 5, just for the auto-on, auto-off functionality. I'm running the Romeo 5 on my AK pistol. I really like that. All right. Moving forward, the trigger. This is one of the best features of this gun. Most bullpups, because of the way they have to design the linkage to run the hammer all the way back here, something about the transference of force from here, way back here, it just causes problems in a lot of bullpups where you get like a 10-pound trigger. This trigger is truly phenomenal for what it is. I would compare it to like a mil-spec AR-15 trigger. It's somewhere in like the 4.5 to 5 pound range. It's very pleasant. It's easy to shoot. It's easy to make accurate shots with this. It does have an adjustable gas system with I don't know, like fucking 150. I mean, I'm exaggerating here, but it's got several different clicks where you can adjust this, so you can tune it for whatever load you're running. For me personally, I've never messed with it. The setting it came with out of the box is the same setting I've ran it on. I've got 2,000 rounds of all brass cased, 55 and 62 grain ammunition. I've never had a problem with it. But if you wanted to run a can or something like that on it, you could definitely adjust the gas to dial it down and soften it up. But again, I haven't ran a can, so I haven't had that problem. Give you some of the specs on the rifle. It's listed as 7 pounds. As this one is shown, it's closer to 7.8 pounds with the optics and everything. It uses any standard Stanag AR-15 magazine, 20 round, 10 round, whatever you want to put in it, it'll run it. Overall length is 27.5 inches long with a 17.3 inch barrel. So again, a 27-inch rifle, you still get a full length barrel, so you have maximum velocity, which is great when you're using a little round. You want that little round to be going as fast as possible, and using a 17-inch barrel certainly helps with that. It's also a short stroke gas piston system, so similar to the way an AK runs. So you're going to get enhanced reliability from that. And it has a 1 in 7 twist rate, which would, in my understanding, that would actually lend better accuracy to something like 77 grain 5.56 ammunition. I'll be honest with you, I'm a budget guy. 77 grain is kind of expensive, so I've never ran it through this. But I will say shooting 55 and 62 grain, 62 grain seems to group a little better. But the best I've been able to do with this rifle at 100 yards is like a 2.5 inch group. So I would call this a 2 to 3 MOA gun. Depending on what your purpose of using it is, 2-3 MOA might be fine for you. I would say it's well within the realm of a battle rifle. 2 to 3 MOA, you know, it's at 200 yards, you're still talking within a 6-inch group. That's minute of man all day. So for something like this, especially with a red dot optic, this is perfect for me. Most of the time, I mean, this is just a range toy, if we're all being honest. That's what I use it for. I use it because I wanted something to add to my collection that was different. That's not something everybody else has. Everybody's got ARs, everybody's got AKs. Those are standard now. But I don't know anybody else that owns one of these. And every time I pull it out at the range, I get a lot of questions about it. A lot of guys want to shoot it. Everybody seems to enjoy it. And it smiles all around. So, let's see. What else can I say about it? I mean, I guess that's it. Ultimately, I don't regret buying it at all. One thing I'll say, and you'll notice as you pay attention to my channel, if I paint a gun, it's because I don't ever plan on getting rid of it. And I will say that about this. It's one of my favorite rifles. People talk shit all the time on Keltec. This is a great one. I don't know what else to say. The next thing I'll do, we'll go ahead and cut over. And the next thing I'll do is I'll go out in the range and I'll actually do some shooting footage. Give you guys an idea of what you can expect out of a rifle like this. Thanks for watching the tabletop portion. See you guys on the range. All right, guys, we're out on the range. Got the Keltec RDB. Just going to do a little bit of shooting, let you guys see how this thing runs. I've got some 20-round Lancer mags in it. Got 15 rounds roughly in each magazine. This, you know, this is it. All right, there was the first mag down. Try for 75. I really fucking like this thing a lot. It's lightweight. It's handy. With the red dot, you can still make hits. I'll do 100. No problem. It runs like a top. And just to show you how the bolt release works, you put a mag in, press it down, runs a round in the bolt. This gun's got about, it'll have 2,100 rounds through it after today. Like I said, you can lock the charging handle up after you do a mag. When the bolt goes back and locks, you can really feel it. Then you can HK slap it. It just runs. I don't know what else to say about it. I really like it. It's a little awkward. I mean, it's not quite as ergonomic as an AR-15, but it's reliable. It runs. It's different. That's what I really like about it. It's just not a fucking AR. It's not an AK. It's something interesting and different. It looks good. It fucking runs though. All right, I got a few rounds left for what I brought with me. I'm going to go ahead and take these last few shots at 200 yards at a rest. All right. So that's it, guys. That's the Keltec RDB. It's pretty sick, honestly. I love it. Ask yourself, you know, why you would want something like this. And if you have the same reasons I do, you want something that's just not an AR or an AK. You want something that's a little different, but it still runs like a common magazine, a common round. This is a good one, especially if you're left-handed. That's the big key. If you're left-handed and you want a bullpup, you either get a left-handed Tavor or you get one of these. If you get a left-handed Tavor, all your right-handed friends are going to fucking hate you. So this is my just kind of infield shooting footage of the Keltec RDB. There you go. Y'all take it easy.